In the vast silence of space, the United Earth Diplomatic Corps vessel hung like a quiet sentinel against the dark backdrop of stars. Jay Park stood near the observation window, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the approaching alien ship. The Galactic Confederation vessel was massive, a gleaming construct of metallic curves and strange geometrical designs that seemed to shift and change even as he watched. The room around him was tense. Several human diplomats and scientists waited, their breaths almost synchronized, anticipating the first official contact with an advanced alien civilization. Yuna Kim, the lead communications specialist, adjusted her translation equipment, her fingers moving quickly across holographic interfaces. Ambassador Relic Vorn's ship slowly docked with precision. The alien delegation was unlike anything humans had imagined. Tall, with skin that seemed to shimmer between metallic blue and deep purple, they moved with an almost liquid grace. Their bodies were not humanoid. Multiple limbs, strange sensory appendages, and eyes that seemed to change color. With each movement, Jay observed carefully. He knew this moment was critical. Humanity had been preparing for this encounter for decades, studying potential communication protocols, analyzing potential cultural differences, and training their best and brightest for this exact scenario. Dita, translation device, crackled to life. Ambassador Vorn's voice emerged, a sound that was part mechanical, part organic, with undertones that seemed to vibrate at multiple frequencies simultaneously. "Representatives of Earth," the voice announced, "we have studied your civilization. Your technological development is primitive." The human delegation remained calm. Years of diplomatic training had prepared them for potential condescension. Yuna stepped forward, her posture confident but respectful. "We acknowledge our developmental differences," she responded smoothly. "We are here to establish mutual understanding and potential collaboration." Vorn's multiple eyes, each a different color and size, seemed to scan the human delegation. Data streams flickered around the alien's body, complex mathematical calculations and cultural analysis happening in real time. Jay noticed something interesting. Despite the aliens' apparent technological superiority, there was a hint of uncertainty in their movements. The way their sensory appendages twitched suggested they were not entirely comfortable with this interaction. The ship's interior was a marvel of alien engineering. Surfaces that seemed to breathe, walls that could transform, environmental systems that adapted instantaneously. Yet the humans showed no signs of being overwhelmed. They moved with a quiet confidence that seemed to surprise the alien delegation. "Your species has several unusual characteristics," Vorn continued. "High adaptability, complex emotional range, unpredictable problem-solving capabilities." These words, meant to be dismissive, carried an underlying tone of curiosity. The humans exchanged subtle glances. They understood the subtext. The aliens were trying to categorize humanity, to place them in a neat, manageable box of understanding. But humanity was not easily defined. Jay stepped forward. "We welcome the opportunity to demonstrate our capabilities," he said simply. No boasting, no defensiveness, just a statement of potential. The alien delegation seemed momentarily confused by the direct, unemotional response. Their complex communication systems struggled to interpret the nuanced human interaction. Outside the ship, Earth hung in the background, a blue-green marble of complexity, a planet that had survived multiple extinction events, that had transformed itself repeatedly, that had produced a species capable of looking beyond its own limitations. Vorn's appendages moved in what might have been a gesture of contemplation. "We will observe," the alien finally said. "We will evaluate." Unspoken was the clear message, "and we will judge." Jay Park allowed himself a small, almost imperceptible smile. The aliens thought they knew humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The first contact was not a moment of conflict. It was not a moment of submission. It was a moment of potential, a quiet, powerful invitation to understand something new, and humanity was very good at making the impossible possible. The conference room was cold and sterile, filled with a strange mix of human and alien technologies. Ambassador Vorn stood at the center, his multiple appendages moving in complex patterns as he presented what he believed to be an impossible challenge. Hoon Choi listened carefully. A quantum physicist with an unusual reputation for thinking beyond traditional boundaries, he watched the holographic display that showed a complex quantum problem. The challenge involved stabilizing a quantum network across multiple dimensional planes, something that had defeated the most advanced civilizations for centuries. The alien delegation expected failure. Their attitude was clear. This was a test, designed to demonstrate humanity's technological limitations. Each alien representative looked at the humans with a mixture of curiosity and mild contempt. Yuna Kim sat next to Hoon, her fingers already tracing potential solution paths on her portable quantum interface. She understood something the aliens did not. Human creativity was not bound by conventional thinking. The quantum problem was intricate. It involved synchronizing quantum states across multiple universes, maintaining stability in regions where fundamental physical laws seemed to break down. Previous attempts by advanced civilizations had resulted in catastrophic failures. Vorn's voice echoed through the room. Your species has 3 standard galactic cycles to provide a solution. We do not expect success. Hoon remained calm. His eyes moved across the complex mathematical projections, seeing patterns where others saw chaos. Humans had a unique ability to find connections where others saw only disconnection. The alien scientists had approached this problem using highly advanced computational models. They had used quantum computers millions of times more powerful than anything on Earth. Yet they had failed repeatedly. What they did not understand was that human problem-solving was not just about computational power. It was about creative thinking, about seeing beyond established patterns. During the first day, Hoon and his team did something unexpected. Instead of attacking the problem directly, they began exploring its fundamental structure. They looked at the quantum challenge not as a mathematical equation, but as a complex living system. Yuna introduced biological modeling techniques. She proposed treating the quantum network like a biological organism, something that could adapt, self-regulate, and find balance through dynamic interactions. The alien scientists watched in confusion. Their computational approaches were linear and rigid. The human approach seemed almost chaotic, following multiple paths simultaneously. By the second day, Hoon's team had developed a radical approach. They were combining quantum mechanics with concepts borrowed from ecology, neuroscience, and even music theory. Their solution didn't just aim to solve the problem, it sought to understand its fundamental nature. Vorn and the other alien representatives began to pay closer attention. What had initially seemed like a simple demonstration of human limitations was transforming into something unexpected. The human team worked without fear of failure. They understood that innovation often came from being willing to look foolish, to try approaches that seemed nonsensical to traditional thinking. Hoon's breakthrough came unexpectedly. While reviewing data during a short break, he noticed a subtle pattern that everyone else had missed. It was like seeing a hidden image within a complex visual puzzle. We might have something, he told Yuna quietly. The alien delegation leaned forward. Their advanced sensors and computational systems began tracking the human team's progress with increasing intensity. What the humans were developing was not just a solution to a quantum problem. It was a new way of understanding complex systemic interactions. Their approach suggested possibilities that went far beyond the immediate challenge. As the second day ended, the atmosphere in the room had changed completely. The initial condescension had been replaced by a growing sense of anticipation. The aliens were no longer certain of the outcome. Hoon looked up from his work, meeting Ambassador Vorn's gaze directly. In that moment, something changed. The aliens began to realize that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The impossible challenge was about to become possible, and humanity was just getting started. The research facility hummed with quiet intensity. Hoon Choi stood before a holographic display, his fingers moving rapidly across quantum projection models. Around him, his team worked with a focused determination that seemed to defy the impossible challenge before them. 72 hours had passed since they first received the quantum stabilization problem. The alien scientists watched with growing disbelief as the human team approached the challenge from angles they had never considered. Yuna Kim's breakthrough came unexpectedly. She had been studying the quantum network's structural patterns, comparing them to biological communication systems. Her background in ecological modeling gave her a unique perspective that traditional quantum physicists lacked. "Look," she said quietly to Hoon, pointing at a complex holographic representation. "It's not a static system. It's alive." The alien observers shifted uncomfortably. Their most advanced computational systems had failed to see what Yuna was describing. The quantum network wasn't just a mathematical problem. It was a dynamic, living system with its own internal logic. Hoon understood immediately. Where alien scientists saw a fixed mathematical equation, humans saw a complex adaptive organism. They began treating the quantum challenge like a living ecosystem, introducing adaptive algorithms that could respond and change in real time. The solution they developed was revolutionary. It combined quantum mechanics with principles borrowed from biological adaptation, neural network learning, and complex systems theory. Each computational approach was flexible, capable of self-correction and continuous evolution. Ambassador Vorn and the alien delegation watched in growing amazement. Their initial expectation of human failure was transforming into something else entirely. The humans were not just solving the problem, they were reimagining the entire approach to quantum stability. One of the senior alien scientists leaned forward, multiple sensory appendages trembling with a mixture of confusion and emerging respect. The human solution defied everything they understood about quantum mechanics. Hoon's team worked without the rigid constraints that typically limited scientific exploration. They were willing to try approaches that seemed impossible, to challenge fundamental assumptions about how quantum systems should behave. The breakthrough came during the final hours of their allocated time. A complex algorithm developed by the team began to show remarkable stability across multiple quantum dimensions. Where previous attempts had resulted in catastrophic system failures, the human approach demonstrated unprecedented resilience. Yuna's ecological modeling played a crucial role. She had introduced adaptive feedback loops that allowed the quantum network to self-regulate, much like how living organisms maintain internal balance. It was an approach no alien civilization had ever conceived. The holographic displays began to show something extraordinary. The quantum network was not just stabilizing, it was developing its own internal complexity. What had seemed like an impossible mathematical challenge was transforming into a living, adaptive system. Ambassador Vorn's communication systems struggled to process what was happening. The humans had done more than solve a problem. They had fundamentally changed the understanding of quantum interactions. As the final computational model stabilized, a profound silence filled the research facility. The alien scientists looked at the human team with a mixture of shock and emerging respect. Everything they thought they knew about quantum mechanics was being challenged. Hoon looked up, meeting Vorn's multiple-eyed gaze. There was no arrogance in his expression, just a quiet understanding of what they had achieved. "We have a solution," he said simply. The alien delegation realized something important in that moment. Humanity was not a primitive species to be dismissed. They were something entirely different, a civilization capable of seeing beyond established scientific boundaries. The quantum disruption appeared without warning. One moment, the galactic network was stable. The next, entire star systems began to tremble at their fundamental quantum levels. Senior Confederation scientists watched in horror as their most advanced technologies failed. Massive computational systems crashed. Protective quantum shields dissolved like smoke. Millions of alien civilizations suddenly found themselves vulnerable to a threat they could not understand. J. Park received the emergency transmission at 300 hours. The message was simple but terrifying. The quantum fabric of multiple universes was beginning to unravel. Traditional alien technologies had no defense. "We need humans," a desperate Confederation communication stated. The same civilization that had previously dismissed humanity now begged for their help. Hoon Choi and Yuna Kim were already assembling their team when the first reports came in. Entire planetary systems were experiencing quantum destabilization. Millions of alien populations faced potential complete destruction. The crisis originated from a region deep in unexplored space. Something had triggered a massive quantum resonance, a wave of fundamental physical disruption that threatened to break down the very structures of molecular existence. Alien technologies relied on rigid, predictable quantum interactions. Human approaches were different. They understood systems as living, adaptive networks. Where alien scientists saw a problem, humans saw a complex challenge waiting to be understood. Ambassador Vorn contacted Earth directly. His previous condescension was gone, replaced by raw desperation. "We require your solution," he transmitted. The message carried an unspoken admission of complete vulnerability. Yuna's ecological modeling became crucial. She began treating the quantum disruption like a complex biological infection. Instead of trying to stop the disruption, she proposed understanding its internal logic, its method of propagation. Hun developed computational models that could adapt in real time. Traditional alien approaches were like solid walls. His approach was more like water, capable of flowing around obstacles, changing shape continuously. The research facility transformed into a crisis management center. Scientists from multiple human disciplines worked together, quantum physicists alongside biologists, mathematicians collaborating with systems theorists. Global resources were mobilized. Every computational system on Earth was redirected to understanding, and potentially, solving the galactic quantum crisis. It was humanity's first true test on an interstellar scale. Initial projections were grim. The quantum disruption was spreading faster than any known technological intervention could manage. Alien civilizations watched their most advanced protective systems crumble like paper. But humans operated differently. They did not see the crisis as an insurmountable problem. They saw it as a complex puzzle waiting to be solved. J-Park coordinated international efforts. Communication networks spanning multiple research centers worked in perfect synchronization. Where alien systems would have collapsed under such complexity, human adaptability shone. The quantum disruption continued its devastating path. Star systems began to experience fundamental physical changes. Molecular structures started to break down. Time itself seemed to become unstable in affected regions. Hun's team worked without sleep. They understood that every moment counted. Their approach was not about fighting the disruption, but about understanding its fundamental nature and developing a responsive, adaptive solution. Yuna's biological modeling proved revolutionary. By treating the quantum disruption like a living system, they began to develop computational approaches that could predict and potentially neutralize its spread. Ambassador Vorn watched human efforts with a mixture of hope and disbelief. The same civilization he had previously dismissed was now humanity's best hope for survival. As critical hours passed, the human team began to develop a potential solution. It was not a traditional technological fix, but a complex, adaptive intervention that could potentially stabilize the quantum network. The galaxy held its breath. Millions of civilizations waited. Humanity's unique approach to problem-solving was about to be tested on the most significant stage possible. The quantum crisis had become more than a scientific challenge. It was a moment that would define humanity's place in the universal community. The final solution emerged not with a dramatic explosion, but with a quiet, steady pulse of quantum reconstruction. Hun Choi's team had discovered something extraordinary. The quantum disruption was not a destruction, but a transformation waiting to be understood. Yuna Kim's ecological modeling proved critical. She treated the quantum network like a living ecosystem, identifying its patterns of movement, its internal logic of adaptation. Where alien technologies saw a problem to be crushed, humans saw a complex system seeking balance. Earth's computational networks worked simultaneously, creating a global brain of problem-solving potential. Every research center, every advanced computational system was connected, sharing information at speeds that defied traditional understanding. The quantum stabilization began subtly. First, affected star systems stopped their rapid decay. Then molecular structures started to realign. The disruption, which had seemed unstoppable, began to slow. Ambassador Vorn watched in complete disbelief. Human scientists were solving a problem that had defeated the most advanced civilizations in galactic history. Their approach was not about force, but about understanding. J. Park coordinated the global response. He understood that this was more than a scientific challenge. It was humanity's moment of proving its worth to the galactic community. Every decision was calculated, every approach carefully considered. The solution was elegant in its simplicity. Instead of fighting the quantum disruption, they created an adaptive network that could absorb and redirect its energy. It was like turning a destructive wave into a controlled flow of water. Alien scientists struggled to understand the human approach. Their technologies were rigid, designed with precise mathematical calculations. Human solutions were flexible, adaptive, capable of changing in real time. As hours passed, the quantum network began to stabilize. Entire star systems that had been on the brink of complete destruction slowly returned to normal. The fundamental physical laws began to reassert themselves. Hoon's team worked without rest. They understood that every moment counted. Their solution was not just about stopping the disruption, but about creating a new understanding of quantum interactions. The Galactic Confederation watched in stunned silence. The same civilization they had previously dismissed had just saved millions of alien civilizations. Humanity had transformed from a species of potential to a species of genuine, cosmic significance. Communication systems across the galaxy began to share the remarkable story. Humans had done what no other civilization could. They had understood a cosmic threat at a fundamental level and developed a solution that saved entire universes. Ambassador Vorn approached the human delegation. His previous condescension was completely gone, replaced by genuine respect. "You have saved us," he said simply. The words carried the weight of multiple civilizations. Yuna looked at Hoon. They both understood that this was more than a scientific achievement. This was a moment that would redefine humanity's place in the universal community. The quantum network continued to stabilize. What had seemed like an impossible destruction became a moment of cosmic reconstruction. Humans had not just solved a problem. They had demonstrated a completely new approach to understanding universal systems. J. Park watched the computational models with quiet satisfaction. Humanity had proven something important, that creativity, adaptability, and a willingness to think beyond established boundaries could solve seemingly impossible challenges. The Galactic Confederation would never look at humans the same way again. They were no longer a young, potentially dangerous species. They were a civilization with extraordinary potential, capable of solving problems that defeated the most advanced technologies. As the final quantum stabilization completed, a new understanding emerged. Humanity was not just another species in the galaxy. They were something unique, a civilization capable of seeing beyond established limitations. The crisis had become an opportunity, and humanity had seized it perfectly.